All right, welcome back. What I want us to do today is create an invoice. So anytime you log into the system will be at the dashboard. So there are two ways we can approach creation on an invoice. First way we can create an invoice is going to sales. And on sales, you'll see the tab of invoices, and we can come and create the invoice from the sales button. Here, we create an invoice. This is compulsory, therefore we create the client we already have existing. Remember I said we cannot create anything that is not client driven. This is ABC, it's compulsory, this client is already existing. We're able to create the company, pick the customer. There are various ways of paying, whether it's Paysac, Rev, or Pesapal. Since this is a Kenya shilling client, we can pay with either of all these methods, or we say we only use Pesapal as a payment method. Then we leave Pesapal. We can create a bank as a payment method. We'll see how to do that. The particular currency is Kenya shillings. Particular sales agent, because I'm the one who created this client, will be here, but we can't change this to anybody else who will be the agent or who's the one who initiated the client. But since I'm the initiator, to retain that. Is this a recurring invoice? A recurring invoice means it's an invoice that will be going out automatically every single month. So I can say after every 1 month, this is a recurring invoice, then you pick this. So the system recognizes this is a recurring invoice. It will be sending this invoice every single month for the client to pay. Is there a discount, and when is the discount applied? The institutions which do invoice before tax or after tax, then you can pick. If you pick that, no discounts, then nothing would be applied. But if I pick before tax or after tax, the system will accordingly generate that. The invoice date is 18th, which is today's date. Then after 30 days is when the invoice is due date. Remember when we were setting up the company, we said our invoices are paid after 30 days. However, if there is a change, you can actually change and say you want the invoice paid after a week or after 5 days or whatever. If you don't want overdue invoices to remind us to be going to this client, you can check here, but we leave this so that we keep reminding the client of any note or anything to be sent. Once you've said every month, then it's infinity until we stop. It will keep sending that cycle infinity. Or we can say we're only doing it for the first 12 months. He's only subscribed for 1 year and is doing it on a monthly basis. Every single 1 month, this invoice will go for all the 12 periods. Or we can say infinity. I don't need to change. As long as you are a client, you are doing Awesome Host, we'll be sending you an invoice every single month till infinity, or you cease being our customer. We have items here. That is what we are doing, whether we are doing email hosting, system implementation, or website development. We pick any, but we also have a shortcut of creating a product immediately here and having that product put in. So we will pick existing products and say we're doing hosting. Once we pick that, the product is already existing, we can add a description, we can add what amount we are going to bill the client. Once we do that, is the quantity, whether it's a quantity, which is pieces, or we charge by hours, or a mixture of quantity and hours, whichever way we see it, and then we tick to add it to the invoice. Once we tick it to the invoice and seen that everything is okay, we can submit by save and sending it immediately, or we can save and create a draft which will be sent later, or we can save and immediately record a payment that the client has sent, or I just save it as a draft waiting for approval or waiting for your superior to see it before it's sent. I can say save and send, and once I say save and send, it's submitted, the system successfully adds and pays that invoice. So in that short process, we've created an invoice for ABC Company Limited. The invoice picks the numbers at continuing. It's a recurring invoice, so it remains until infinity every single month. The invoice is raised. So the next time the system will raise again an invoice is on the 18th. Again, an invoice will go to the client. So basically, that's how, in a nutshell, number one, we raise an invoice. Raising an invoice is by going to sales and then raising an invoice. And that's the first way of us doing that, creating an invoice. The second way we can do an invoice is we go to the particular customer. So we go to customers and we go to that particular customer we want to bill. So we open ABC Company Limited. And then when we are in ABC Company Limited, we go to invoices. Under invoices, we'll see all the invoices that we've billed so far to ABC, and then we create another invoice for ABC. Remember, these contacts will come up automatically because we have already picked that particular client, who we are billing. Is it a recurring invoice? No. Is there a discount? We set if there is. If the due date is different, we can't change. And then whatever item we want to do, we create that item. We can say developing of website, and it's 3,800. It's with VAT, and then we click add. Once we add it, the discount, there was nothing we set up. We set the tax, and then that is the total amount for that particular invoice. Same way, if there are notes we want the client to see, the terms and conditions, we can add there. These are things like invoice are paid on delivery. Once invoice accepted, it should be paid and stuff. The terms and conditions of the service you're offering can be here, and this client will see. Once we've done that, we can save and send. We can send later, or we can save it as a draft. That now invoice has been sent to the client. When we're in that invoice, so the invoice has been raised to this particular client, and everything of that invoice we can see. So we can create a task. We will go to tasks later on. We can see the activity when the invoice was sent, invoice was created. You can also see when the client opens that particular invoice here. So there will be an activity log of when the client opens the invoice. You can see the reminders, or you can set reminders to remind the client about a particular invoice. If there are any notes on that invoice, we are able to do that. We can see if the client has opened the email. Whether it's been opened or not opened, we can see from the client perspective whether it's been opened or not opened. And then we can view the tracking. The client has not viewed the invoice yet. So we'll be able to see when the client view the invoice. So when we are creating a new invoice, those are the two ways we can create when we are dealing with a customer or from the sales portion. Thank you very much.